Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community Oceania Hundoke with Reverend Yutaka Yamada on this day, Friday, the 23rd of April, which is the 12th day of March in the 9th year of Chongalguk. So let's begin by offering a bow to our Heavenly Parent and true parents. Shariat, Kambe. Paro. And let's recite our family pledge both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가전맨세 7. 전리국주인 우리 가족은 참 사랑을 중심하고 본연의 혈통과 연결된 위하는 생활을 통하여 심전 문화 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 7. Our family, the owner of Chongalguk, pledges through living for the sake of others to perfect the world based on the culture of heart, which is rooted in the original lineage by centering on true love. And I'd like to ask Isla Willits if she could offer the opening prayer. I don't seem to hear her. Yeah, other people are saying no sound as well.
I'm getting sound.
Okay.
Oh, no, not just from you.
All right. Jew. All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. That's I'm not sure if you heard the prayer or not, but so let's welcome Reverend Yutaka as he shares with us this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. Thank you for coming this Fundokai today. Today is also 71st day and really beautiful day. I really appreciate everyone come together to offer chanson and prayer and always also remind ourselves each chanson is even small things, even simple things, but how we can continue consistently, those things is piled and become the bigger and bigger, and this become the foundation. So our all brothers and sisters heart connect with our heavenly parents and true parents, and really we can go together. So yesterday we had also the good meeting with our Victoria families. So in the evening time we share our heart and really spend a good time together. So I hope really this COVID situation will be finished quickly. Then physical gathering, physical communication, and physical exchanging, then we could feel each other, and even we can go to Korea and we could see Tirumada directly. So I hope all situation will finish quickly. Then we can put our heart together. So really I appreciate our all brothers and sisters. Still, I heard some island nation, suddenly COVID started. I heard Fiji lockdown. Some nation, some island nation doesn't have a COVID long time from the beginning, but recently something happened. So really we have to pray for our brothers and sisters and each nations, and please check the news, really what things is going on each country. In Korea, Japan, USA, or those nations still, there are many kind of COVID situation. Oceania side is there some nation who are, which is serious country about COVID? Australia, New Zealand doesn't have COVID anymore, right?
PNG.
Yeah, PNG now really serious. And I don't know, the Samoa doesn't have, right? And now Fiji a little bit serious. And I had some nation, I forgot the nation, but now few nation also. That's why, of course, some nation will be opening, but still some nation is not ending yet. So we have to be concerned and really pray for those nations. So really please offer the prayer, and we wish to finish quickly. Okay, so today let's continue from yesterday contents. So yesterday we share about the Tirumada's story, which Tirumada gave birth many children, 14 children, and Tirumada have to leave the family and to go together with Trifada, and sometimes Tirumada herself to visit to the world tour, and also mission area and the providence in the city by city and village by village, and also embrace. So even children grow up, even many membership is growing up, but the purpose of our parents and our movement is not only just developing the churches, developing only one area's membership. Our final goal is to resurrect and release our heavenly parents' heart, and also wipe the human beings' tears. How we can recognize the painfulness of the people, the society. We should feel that, and we are the one who console them and liberate them. So Tirumada, with this heart, went and visited to the many place, and she went to Africa and she got malaria, and also yesterday last one is she went to Bolivia. Even that place is altitude of almost 4,000 meters. It's not easy to breathe, but she went there and she gave the speech. So today also, let's continue to see that Trumada's autobiography. The event was a tremendous success, and at the victory celebration that evening, I warmly held the hands of each participating member individually. Even though I was exhausted, I maintained a high spirit for the sake of the precious guests, VIPs, and members who had come from far away to meet me. So this is South America map, Bolivia. Someone visited to the Bolivia before? Bolivia altitude 4,000 meters. So I don't know how that's feeling. High place. Our Oceania case is almost island nation. So opposite situation, not because of difficult, because of high. Our nation is because of low, almost 1 meter of the sea level. That's why very dangerous or some situation in island nation, Kiribati or some nation, right? So in each place in the world, there is the different difficult. So when Trumada to Bolivia, that place was 4,000 meter high, but she put and successfully success her event and that conference that time. So many VIP appreciated, and also young members and guests also came together to Trumada. It turned into a joyous occasion as we encouraged each other. When I returned home, my husband, who listened to all my speeches by phone or later through the internet, patted me on the back and expressed his appreciation. Where else could you get such a blessing? He said, having such success at a place that is 4,000 meters closer to heaven. Every time True Mother will go together with True Father, but sometimes True Father doesn't go together. True Father sent only True Mother to the place. So actually True Mother herself, she did many world tour without True Father. Women's Federation inauguration time, and also 3 generation world tour, or several times Japan and Korea, Japanese, some rally in Japan. So sometimes True Mother also went by herself, but always True Father connected by phone or internet and lead together, watch together, and join together. And every time after the rally, there was victory celebration, and True Father and True Mother joined together through online or video or phone. And Father always encourage and really appreciate to True Mother. So if we could see those video, how much True Father is showing his love to True Mother and communicating and they are embracing and they are appreciating and praising her and sing together. True Father sing a song and ask True Mother to sing a song. So we could see how even physically they are staying separate place, but always father and mother going together. So that time also, Bolivia time, True Father gave this kind of the appreciation message to True Mother. Amid its beautiful, oh, just a moment. So that is the Bolivia. Then this is the next place. Besides bringing the word of God, during my tours, I conducted ceremonies to liberate the spirit of those whose lives had been sacrificed. The true parent's victory upon the earth has opened the gates of resurrection in the spirit world. The members in Austria in the spring of 2018 carried out such a ceremony. If you follow the Donau River west from Vienna for about 2 hours, you come to the village of Mauthausen. So when Trumada visited to the world tour, of course she gave the message and she gave the speech and God's word, but not only organizing the rally or event. And when she visited to some area, she could feel some spiritual burden or heavy matter, and she could feel the whole history. That's why if she visited those places, she conducted also the liberation ceremony of the spiritual world. We heard many times about Africa, the Gore Island. Gore Island is also some torturing place or suffering place of slavery in the past. That's why there is some heavy spirit atmosphere was there. So she conducted about a liberation ceremony, and also when she went to this is Austria, when she visited Austria 2018, there was those kind of the painful area. That's why she conducted this liberation ceremony. So we can see more detail. Amid its beautiful scenery, it's a visitor's center in front of depressing and sinister looking building. That building with its towering wall of thick gray brick brings on tears of bitter grief, for during the Second World War, it was a concentration camp. There, the Nazis incarcerated Jews and many others. Many of the almost 200,000 people that passed through Mauthausen met miserable deaths. What remains are not relics from 70 years ago. So when you visit the place in Austria, Trumada also visited to this concentration camp, and that place almost more than 200,000 people passed away through in the World War II moment. So that time, even 70 years ago, still there is that place. So I'm not sure, some of you also visited to some Europe area. Did you visit those some building or those historical place, painful historical place in Europe? Yes. When you visit that place, did you feel some spiritual things there? If we visit in each place, we could see some spirit or some matters. So those painful area is, I think, not only Europe, even each nation, we could find that. When I went to Cambodia, also I visited some museum. That place, actually more than 2 million people was killed. Few, I think 30 or 40 years ago, and there was a prison. Prison became some historical museum. So when I visited there, already some heavy feeling or spiritual feeling was coming. So when Trumada have visited to the many nation or many place, so when she gave the message, of course she embraced the people and give the inspiration, but in the same time, how Trumada is sensitive about the spirituality. So when she visited the place, immediately she could feel the painfulness and all spiritual history, and also this kind of the miserable feeling and the pain of war and suffering of the peoples. So she gave and liberation those place. And maybe Oceania area, there is also World War II, of course, Japanese, and also many nation and many history, painful history was in each nation. And also our Australia history, many battle, many kind of history. That's why, of course, we can see some area, development area, beautiful scenery, but in the same time, we should understand the history, not only our unification history, also the national history, our Australia history, New Zealand history, Island nation history. There is also many kind of painful matter in the past, and some people is suffering in still now on. So we are as the parents figure, we have to pray them, embrace them, and console them, and really we have to liberate their painful heart and liberate their history. So I think some brother also go to champion and liberate collateral liberation instead of painful history in the nation. So we have to also liberate our ancestors and our past history. So this is really important things. The true pain one feels there is that of the spirit persons who are stuck in that prison, trapped in their resentment. They can reselect only after the true parents of healing and hope can console them and alleviate their bitter resentment and sadness. It happened like this. I had traveled to Vienna to hold the 2018 Peace Starts With Me rally in the Wien Stadtholz. The event was a great success. So when Trumada went to Vienna, she had the Peace Start With Me rally, and that was a great success and give the great moment. Dr. Werner Faslavent, Austria's former defense minister and a great senior statesman, welcomed me to the podium, and more than 10,000 people heard my message of hope for the future and for a Europe that would live for the sake of others. I was especially encouraged by the bright spirit of the young people who pledged themselves for peace. But the next morning at breakfast, some of our European leaders came to me with serious face to present a special request that I permit a ceremony of liberation at Mauthausen. They had heard about my liberation prayers offered for the victim of slavery on Gorée Island in Senegal and urgently asked me to extend the same heavenly grace to the victim of Nazi persecution. So that time, the Tirumada's rally was great success, and more than 10,000 people and young people gather and show the vision and hope to the nation and also to Tirumada and to the heaven. So that time our leader visited, requested to Tirumada to hold the liberation ceremony in that Austria Mauthausen. I sent special representatives to hold a liberation ceremony in Mauthausen. They presented lilies, which represent eternal love, and offered special prayers, opening the gate to alleviate the suffering of those tormented souls. They prayed that those people now in the spirit world could release their sadness and resentment and become absolute good spirit who would find their way to the realm of blessing and joy that God has prepared for us all. It is important to build memorial and educate people about historical wrongs Still, the higher priority is to release the bitter anguish and anger harbored by those who came before us and who suffered and died unjustly. So when we see the history and the past, many people were died, some resent frustration. That's why we should not forget the history. Of course, we cannot judge always our ancestor or the group or people, but we should not forget, and we should console them, liberate them, and really love them more, and really embrace more those heart. Then they can be liberated. Our true parents' message and our truth. Our life is not only physical world or physical life. Our life is together with spiritual body and spiritual life. That's why even that person already passed away, even that person is not here physically, but their spirit is living eternally. So we really have to console them and solve them during our lifetime in the physical world, because everything have to be solved in the physical world. Sometimes we have a relationship with others, many painful, resentment heart and judging heart, or many kind of heart feeling. But of course, maybe if someone hurt you, that person have problem, that person is maybe wrong. But if because of that person, if I keep resentment and painfulness and judging heart, and actually this is also not healthy or good things for myself. So how we can forgive that person, embrace that person, and really effort to go next step. This is also important matter. This is the things true parents show us and leave us like this, even torture to parents, but instead of have a resentment heart to the person who tortured to the father, embrace and forgive and love. That's why we are the representative of the nation and representative of also ancestor and history. How we can liberate that, solve that, embrace that from our individual relationship, from our family relationship, and from our tribe relationship, and people and national relationship, and world relationship. We have to also learn through our true mother's attitude and true father's message, and to embrace and liberate people. Wherever I go, people who don't know me grasp both my hands tightly, not wanting to let go. Their sorrow upon my departure is deeply engraved in my heart. Many people want to see me, and after we spend time together, they feel an emptiness, emptiness when I'm gone. This is because we are bound by heaven. Our original parents broke away from God's embrace 6,000 years ago. The only begotten Son and only begotten daughter are reconnecting heaven, earth, and humankind, and guiding people to live a true life. That is why some people are brought to tears when they meet God's only begotten daughter. Wherever True Mother visited and also meet the people, people want to stay together with True Mother forever, want to keep that atmosphere and want to stay in that atmosphere. Maybe also you have an experience when you stay together, when you met your parents, when you stay together in the room, how was feeling? Very peaceful feeling, very joyful feeling, very happy feeling. That is why brothers and sisters in the world. So physical meeting and our moment together, living together with our two parents, this time period is really limited time. Trumada is already 78 years old. We don't know how long she could spend the time in the physical world. That's why this special moment, we could really find time, find the moment, and really spend the time and meet Trumada. And also, we have to do our best. I have traveled hundreds and thousands of kilometers over the decades to convey God's love. Although my journey has often been very difficult, I have always been happy. My words and footprints will never disappear. Each and every day, they will multiply, bearing fruit that will nourish this world and beyond. So Trumada's investment, Trumada's footprint will be remained forever. We can remember that moment when True parents came to our nation and really what kind of love they showed us, and those love and feeling and memory will be remembered forever. So today we share about the Trumada's world tour and experience and the visiting to the nation by nation to liberate the spirit. We could see how Trumada is loving and investment. And through Trumada's autobiography, Trumada herself is showing that meaning is also we will go together the same attitude and also same way to embrace and liberate and invest and spend the time with those person together. Our brother and sisters gathering. Yesterday also we have a Victoria gathering, and each nation have a gathering. When you meet your brothers and sisters, blessed families, actually that moment is a precious moment. We don't know how often, how many times we could meet each other or how long we could spend together. If every day we meet, we think we can spend time forever. Our husband and wife also same, parents and child also same. We never imagine this relationship will be finished. But how important. I meet you, you meet the people, you spend the time with family members. This time period is actually not eternal in the physical world, limited time. That's why each moment, even you have an enemy, even you don't like that person, but this meeting itself is really precious moment. So if you have something, really embrace, forgive, and make a really atmosphere and relationship as brother and sisters, as a family, then this relationship will continue forever. So today, through Trumada's autobiography, we could learn what kind of attitude and heart Trumada had, and to visit to the nation and nation. Mother really embrace and meet the people as their son and daughters. We want to develop this, continue our community and our family in the world. This is our Heavenly Parents' vision and True Parents' vision. So to a new day, centering on this heart and vision, let's create beautiful moment, beautiful relationship, and return the happiness and gratefulness to our Heavenly Parents and True Parents. So today, thank you for joining to our this morning Fundoke. Let's have a great time today. Thank you very much once again. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much, Reverend Yutaka. As always, you're so enlightening. So just so yeah, well, welcome everyone. Yeah, I was reminded because I had the opportunity to go to Cambodia and I visited the killing fields with Reverend Kenji Watanabe. We did a tour around those different places. You may have seen photos of a tower that was full of skulls. We had the opportunity to go to that tower, and it's many meters high, and you can go into the tower, but it's really, really tight. There's like a small space that you can sort of just maneuver around, and you see all the skulls in spread out on the levels going up very high, and I was struck as we were going around the tower how every skull was labeled. You know, they had the name and the age, and they had all, and you know, the levels were like, one level was just all young, you know, like kids, and then a different level, you know, older people, and it was, I was just struck how they categorized everything and then just put them together. And I remember going to the killing fields, and just a small area of land, and walking around, and there's places you look down and it's like a pit, and it's just full of bones. But the one that struck me the most was we came to this tree, and this tree was used by the soldiers there to kill young children, toddlers. They would they showed on the tree teeth, which were baby teeth stuck in the wood, and you could still see it. And they basically grabbed the legs and just smashed the head into the tree, and then you could see the bones just on the ground. And I was just struck, you know, of the incredible inhumanity that and that was evident there. Is very heartbreaking to see, and so many stories, you know, that happened there. Yeah, so listening to the story and thinking about the concentration camps in Austria, and then Father had to endure for so long. You know, we just see it as a snapshot, but to experience the daily horror is, well, for me, very unimaginable. It's, I find it hard to comprehend how people can be so cruel to one another. And yeah, so I was just struck by that image, is still staying there, you know, thinking, because Cambodia, I understand, was the most amount of people that were killed in the shortest amount of time by the communists, and the Cambodian people, when we walked around and to the markets and that, were very generous and happy, but that image at seeing the killing fields and it's just, it's very painful to look at. So I'll just open it up for people's comments who would like to share. Yes, Mary, go ahead.
It's on that same theme, unfortunately, but concerning Rwanda. And I was very impressed to hear, I didn't know that Reverend Tanaka had first mission country in 1975 had been Rwanda, and his story of staying there for one whole year and, being not being able to stay any longer, and how painful it was because he couldn't even communicate or even speak to anyone in Japanese that time. And Every year in Tasmania, we join a group of Rwandan. We only have about 4 families in Hobart from Rwanda, all victims of the genocide in 1994, and we have met them through one of them is a coach of young people, and so Hamilton has met them through coaching soccer. And I used to translate in French for the wife of that person. And so we've come close to them, and we go to a memorial that they hold every year. And they've shared that every year as that time builds up, they go through like a time of tenseness, but they hold this memorial every year, a beautiful memorial. And but we've tried, to share about the blessing with them, but we haven't been able to, the husband is actually a little bit negative against religion because of the role of the Catholic Church there was to harbour wanting to protect themselves, they harboured a lot of the killers, and he knew that. And so we've not been able to overcome some kind of resentment in him. And I believe that it's very true what Mother was saying there about the fact that we have to resolve that resentment and take away that anger for those people, and that it's important to hold memorials and build a memorial, but the biggest task is to take away that resentment and that anger of the injustice of it all. And so it's a work in progress with this family still. Yeah, and if we go to visit them, we eventually end up hearing those stories again and again. Yeah, that they can share it with us in that situation, but they've never ever been able to share their own stories in that memorial yet. Yeah, some of their siblings could share their stories, but not this couple. So we're still working for that, but thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mary. Yes. Yes, Keitha, go ahead.
Yeah, just in connection with thinking about the liberations that we heard about today, I'm really grateful. I think it was our previous regional leader visited New Zealand once, and basically I only remember one thing he said, and that was he suggested that we start liberating Maori historical figures, and historical figures in general, but particularly he mentioned Maori people, yeah, to help with the healing and the restoration of the issue between our original people and the Pakeha white people. So yeah, I'm really grateful, and so some brothers and sisters have been doing that. Kathy researched, I mean, there were so many tribes that came. There's so many of them, but we've begun liberating a lot of the original chiefs that we could find that came to New Zealand, and other historical religious people, Maori, for example, who started the Ratana Church, the original missionaries, European missionaries that came to New Zealand. And I feel that is really a very important part of healing the actual heart and resentment which is still existing in Australia and New Zealand, particularly with our histories. But it's a good start, and I feel hopeful that and I see in our the Maori community in New Zealand, we have the more you would call able type, and those that are sitting in resentment and influenced by a resentful spiritual world, yeah. But we can do so much actually to help. We really have to get in there and work in bringing about a real understanding of the two things, yeah. Yeah, but I do feel the spiritual liberations are a good start and to help heal this issue in particularly Australia and New Zealand. Yeah, so I'm grateful for that suggestion that he gave. Yeah.
Thank you. Actually, Mr. Rai is next, and then after Mr. Rai, Dr. Moreau.
Good morning. Thank you yesterday, and I think they called. I'm very sorry to hear about Australia or other nation. Many things happened, and about Solomon Island. When I visited Solomon Island, I think one of the biggest battle, World War II, between US and Japan, and one of the turning point. It's we call the Guadalcanal War. Guadalcanal War. Whole year, I think, Japanese soldier died 80,000. American is 11,000 people died. And the point I went Solomon Island, and I feel always thanks to Solomon Francis's Lord mission. And we did the ceremony, cemetery of both American cemetery and also Japanese cemetery. Then when we went American cemetery, beautiful, looking after, also many family or tribe visit, and each person's name, soldier's name written. Then I went Japanese soldier, Japanese cemetery. It's very dark, not much looking after, a lot of grass, and just one big, like kind of rock something, and just no person's name, just like a big piece. And I really prayed for, and someone even they are, died for, sacrificed their life for the nation, but not looking after. And I really sympathy, and so great, and I think to mother and also Temonim, they can liberate. I think this area a lot of Dr. Moro, it's really doing ancestral liberation, and really thanks. Anyway, just remember for the Solomon Island. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rai. Yeah, actually, I know those two memorials in Solomon Islands, and the US Embassy looks after the US one, but that memorial in Solomons is actually not an official Japanese one. Japan ignores it and doesn't support it. It was actually created by one of the soldiers that was part of the battle, and he spent his money to create it. And he's been trying to get the government to recognize, all the people that died there and tend to actually build a proper one. But it seems like Japan is still ignoring how many people died there, and it's sad to see. Next is Eve Moreau. Yep. Yeah. Video. He was there a second ago. had his hand up and not there. Oh. Jacinta, yeah, you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Eve was going to say. He's actually at school now, so maybe he's having trouble to connect. Yeah, I've got many thoughts about this topic. One is that it can very easily become sort of a race issue. But I'd like to point out that in France, where my husband comes from, his area of France, At the time of the French Revolution, the revolutionary forces came down to his area and basically killed every man, woman, and child. And Eve, part of Eve's lineage, there was one boy who was locked away in a wardrobe, and the key was thrown away as protection for him when all these people came through and killed everybody, even they were killing the animals as well. So that was French against French. Yes, I think what Ms. Reverend Yutaka said, it's very important that we don't judge our ancestors or people who came before us who propagated these acts, shall we say. And the other thing that I want to share is it's a little bit more personal. As many of you know, I was actually on mission overseas. I came back to Australia in 2015. And the first year I was here, I went to the Australian Catholic University because I had to get a formal teaching qualification. And out of that 1 year of education that I got there, the thing that remains on my mind is I had a course on diversity and inclusion. And for one lecture, we were just shown an SBS broadcast. It was called The First Australians. And it was talking particularly about the situation in Victoria. And up to this point, and I'm sorry if this sounds a little bit stereotyped, but you know, I was brought up in Australia in the 70s, basically, when people's image of the Indigenous people, at least maybe I should just say my image, was a little bit like Aborigines. I was thinking of their cultural practices and how they paint themselves in white and do these corroborees, and I hadn't really developed my image of you know, the Indigenous people much beyond that. So when I watched this this SBS program called The First Australians, it depicted the lives of William Burruck and Simon Wonga, two elders in the Aboriginal community here in Victoria. And having, you know, myself gone and done mission work in New Caledonia, in Samoa, I had a new heart towards Indigenous peoples, let's say. And I was just blown away by the fact that they were speaking English. They were really reaching out to the white Australians. So many times they had to swallow their pride and try to reach out to Australians and Australians, I mean the white Australians at that time. You know, I didn't treat them as equals, basically. And yeah, I just really had a whole change of heart towards the Australian, Aboriginal Australians. And I'm very happy to say that when I came back in 2015, we now have an Aboriginal member amongst us, Sean Jackson. So I'm really grateful to him. And we have actually liberated both William Burruck and Simon Wonga. And I'm very proud of that. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jacinta. Actually, I saw Sean's hand go up if you wanted to say something.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jacinta. Australia, a lot of people aren't aware of the dark history Australia has, especially the depths, the details, as a lot of it has been kept outside the public education system. So a lot of children growing up aren't aware of it, but I am aware that recently, a lot of public schools are slowly teaching more and more details. So speaking with a few younger second gen, a few of them actually do know about significant historical events in the Aboriginal community. So it's good to see that happening in modern history within Australia. A few of the issues of Australia's history has got to do with cross-racial interactions, not just colonial or white interactions, but also in Australia's history. A lot of people know that Australia was attacked by the Japanese as well. Over in Western Australia, the northern parts of Western Australia, where Japan actually attacked Australia and actually started going inland. following tribes were affected by that. So there's very strong spiritual negative energy in those areas. In New South Wales, particularly in the Blue Mountains, in Sydney, a lot of the local Indigenous people fled up towards the mountains because of the attacks against them by the colonials. And a lot of them were rounded up in the Blue Mountains, and there was a lot of public hangings in the Blue Mountains, mass hangings, so that people would actually see them, and they were left there on the sides of the roads and also in small towns in the Blue Mountains as warnings for other and also encouragements. In the history, people would also kill Aboriginal people, and they would actually cut off their ears, and their ears were actually nailed as souvenirs in white people's houses. So a lot of museums and stuff keep these ears as commemoratives. So back in the olden days, they were kind of like postcards. Unfortunately, people would collect them, spread them around, because the like modern day, we actually we're very respectful to Aboriginal people, which is great. But we have to understand that back then, pre 1970s, 1960s, before that time, Aboriginal people, according to law, were actually, the value of them were less than animals. So actually animals like cats and dogs and wildlife were actually had a higher value than Aboriginal people. So they had no value whatsoever within society. Also going further south, down in Victoria, there was mass killing fields. There was a huge prison camp where people were rounded up, and that was actually where the last full-blooded Aboriginal lady, and where she passed away in 1876. And also the biggest killing fields are actually down in Tasmania, where it's famous for the Black Line. It's known as the Black Line, but there's actually many lines in Tasmania where basically these were lines of soldiers that would line up and comb the countryside to because all the Aboriginal people were escaping and fleeing and hiding in the countryside and in the forests, and the soldiers would line up and comb the countryside, scaring out the Aboriginal people, and they would slowly kill them one by one. It was a mass genocide, which was continued over many years, and a lot of them were rounded up from Tasmania, and also sent from Victoria down to the Bass Strait Islands between Tasmania and Victoria, and they were kept there, imprisoned in terrible conditions for many, many years, and many of them died just from sickness, and a lot of them were actually sent outside the camps later to be executed. But of course, there's many more the details within Australia's history, but a lot of those are the significant ones to try and remember. And yeah, it's just something to be made aware of, how all of these histories have really made a very dark spirit within Aboriginal people. That's why, as others have mentioned, it's important to liberate these historical figures so they can work within the spirit world in order to work with the other spirits that have fallen in negative, and reinforms the spirit world in order for them to affect the people in the physical world, because the spirit world affects the physical world. And yeah, slowly it's been worked on. It's a long process. So that's why in the physical world it takes a long time to recover as well. But yeah, thank you for letting me share today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Let's go to our prayer, and keep in mind to pray for them and to help them be liberated. So I'll just share the screen, and we can pray together. Thank you. Let's pray.
American music. There is nothing Japanese. Please help me to recognize that they sing their songs to this man who satisfies them. Please let them look after them. Let them take care. Some of my only brothers and sisters have
Adieu, adieu, adieu. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye.
Have a good day. God bless.
And
See
you
you.
too, Mark.
Good day.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Lucy.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Bye,
you, Thorns, for
Maki.
your talk.